Hi, in this video I will identify the external anatomy as well as dissecting and identifying the internal organs of a fetal pig. Here we have a fetal pig, and the first thing we will be looking at is the head of the fetal pig, right here. We can also see part of its neck right there. Here is the trunk of the fetal pig. Next we can see its tail. The trunk of the fetal pig begins at the end of the neck all the way to the beginning of the tail. The thorax begins at the end of the neck and ends at the end of the forelimbs, and the abdomen begins at the end of the forelimbs all the way to the beginning of the tail. Here we can see the forelimbs. We can also see the hind limbs. We can also see the mouth, the eyes, here we can see the snout and external nares. Here are the nares. There's the first one and the second one. And here we have the snout. Here we can also see the vibrissae. And here I am trying to get it a little closer and more into focus so that you can see the vibrissae. They are short hairs on the snout. Lastly, we can see the umbilical cord. Next, I will tie up and dissect the fetal pig. Here I have the fetal pig already tied up, and I will begin with my first incision. I will be using a scalpel for the majority of the dissection. With this first cut, I was going between the forelimbs all the way to close to the neck, cutting very carefully, trying to be careful not to cut myself and not to cut too deep to avoid damaging the internal organs. Next, from that center cut, I went down close to the umbilical cord, again being very careful not to cut through too much tissue. I cut around the umbilical cord slightly with this first cut. Now with this next incision, I went towards the forelimb. And I did the same to the opposite forelimb. At this point, there was some very soft tissue that I could just slightly tear with my hands. The next incision was continuing around the umbilical cord and down towards the anus. The next incision would be towards the front of the hind limb. It would be from the initial incision around the umbilical cord. with these cuts, I was able to get a better grip of the skin and begin to make the final cut so that I can pull it away and create sort of a flap. Here I used a pair of scissors for better control of the cutting. I continued the cutting, aiming to go behind the forelimb. Here I am beginning the incision towards the other side of the hind limb as well. Here I am doing a straight cut on this side of the fetal pig, trying to create another flap. Again, you have to be very careful not to pierce any of the organs because you might be cutting through it and you will mess up the organs and it just won't look right when you're taking pictures or observing it or whatever it is that you're doing. Here I'm making the final cuts to the already made flaps that I've cut through. Trying to hold it down and just trying to do it by hand at this point as much as I can. You have to kind of like open it up, if that makes sense. Open up the cavity. Here I could use a little bit more cutting through this side. At this point I am getting the ribs and spreading them apart, also with the forelimbs. Just trying to maneuver it so that it stays open a little better. Here I am using the pins to hold down parts of the flaps that I've already cut out, just so you can observe it a little clearer. It helps so it doesn't get in the way as well because it does tend to want to close. Now that we have all the pins holding down the pig, we can see the internal organs. I went ahead and untied the pig, took out the pins so that I could hold it in my hands a little better, keep it nice and open so that you can observe the internal organs of the pig.
So here we have the heart. Here is the heart. Here is the right lung. Here is the left lung. Here is the diaphragm. Here we can see the liver. Here we can see the stomach. Here we can see the small intestine. And here we can see the large intestine. The heart, the right lung, the left lung, the diaphragm, the liver, the stomach, small intestine, large intestine. If we really look in there, we could also see the kidneys. So here's one of the kidneys. And on the other side, I was able to cut it out a little better. Here's the other kidney. Here's that kidney. And here's this other kidney right here. So again, the heart, right lung, left lung, diaphragm, liver, small intestine, large intestine, and the stomach. Heart, left lung, right lung, diaphragm, stomach, large intestine, small intestine, liver, kidney.
I hope you found this video useful. Thank you for watching.